Coming up, a dump truck takes on a train and loses. But look closely at this footage. The two locomotives here were revolutionary. Only 4 were built, and these days, they're rarely seen, so now it's time to figure out what happened to them and why they're such an important part of railroad history. Stick around, that's all next. September 22nd, 2021, in Pueblo, Colorado, and an 80,000-pound dump truck mounted on the train tracks is on a collision course with a fuel tender coupled between 2 locomotives. Not long after being pushed up to speed by another locomotive, the dump truck impacts at 43 miles per hour. Of course, this was all just a test done at the Federal Railroad Administration's Transportation Technology Center. It evaluated the crashworthiness and performance of the fuel tender and its protective valve housing. For years, railroads have been testing and using tanks like the one you just saw to haul fuel to power their locomotives. Some companies are even using alternative fuels other than diesel in their fuel tenders. There's no doubt, tests like these are important as we look toward the future of railroading, but the footage here also shows 2 very important pieces of modern railroad history. To some, these may look like standard wide-nose road diesels, but these engines actually revolutionized how the locomotives we see today move. Okay, so if you didn't know, pretty much every freight train you see today in North America is powered by a diesel-electric locomotive. To put it simply, a diesel engine generates electricity that powers electric traction motors. Many, but not all diesel-electric locomotives have 1 traction motor per axle. For decades, those motors were direct current, or DC. However, AC, or alternating current motors, provide better adhesion, or less wheel slip. They're also more reliable, simpler, more rugged, and more efficient than DC motors. However, they are expensive, but despite the cost, in June of 1991, EMD released the first 2 SD60MACs, and 2 more rolled out in September of 1992. Images and captions on Progress Rail's website show how important these prototypes were to the company's history. Electromotive Division was once part of General Motors. Progress Rail, which is now a subsidiary of Caterpillar, now owns EMD, which is called Electromotive Diesel. This picture on the Progress Rail website shows a locomotive being built. Under the side cab windows, it appears to say Mac 1. This photo shows the new locomotive was still very much a General Motors product, but they also teamed up with German company Siemens to help develop the AC traction technology. The SD60MACs would be tested here at the Transportation Technology Center. And on the road, pulling heavy Burlington Northern coal trains out of the Powder River Basin. Even though they were painted in BN colors, they were property of EMD. This was not the first experiment with AC traction, but it was the most successful. Only 4 SD60MACs were produced, but in 1993, EMD came out with this, the SD70MAC. It looks pretty similar to its DC traction cousin, the SD70M, but is 2 feet longer and has special vents on both sides for its AC traction equipment. Thousands of these SD70MACs would be produced, and Burlington Northern was a big customer. This unit wears BN's so-called executive paint scheme and was built in 1994. Even today, it's not uncommon to see SD70MACs helping to pull Powder River Basin coal trains. So yeah, there are still plenty of these on the rails, but you're more likely to see the newer EMD SD70 ACE, which meets Tier 2 EPA standards. And you might even see the even more modern SD70 AHT4 out on the main line. Meanwhile, in the early 1990s, General Electric was on EMD's heels. They also came out with the successful AC4400CW in 1993. GE locomotives with AC traction now dominate the rails today. And some railroads and manufacturers have begun to convert older DC locomotives. Norfolk Southern has a couple of models that have gone from DC to AC traction. These are designated as SD70ACCs. A new wide-nose cab was also added. An even more common conversion model is the AC44C6M. These were once NS-940C and -944CWs. And for all the die-hard rail fans out there, some of the units have received special paint schemes. CSX has also refurbished and reactivated some of its SD70MACs. CSX designates these as SD70ACs. The lightning bolts on CSX locomotives indicate they have AC traction motors. Meanwhile, Chicago Commuter Railroad METRA is acquiring AC traction locomotives that once pulled freight. This variant is designated as an SD70MACH. I did a full video about these, and I'll include a link below. Okay, so there's still one lingering question here. What happened to those 4 EMD SD60MACs? Well, I pulled up a satellite image on Google Earth from 2023, and it appears 3 of them still reside at the Transportation Technology Center in Pueblo, Colorado. To me, it looks like we can see a very faded version of Burlington Northern's Cascade Green on the roofs of these engines. As for the 4th unit, as far as I know, it is or was being used as a testbed by EMD somewhere. I wasn't able to find any images on Google Earth. Feel free to leave a comment below if you know anything more about it. Anyway, that's it for now. As always, thanks for watching.